Hey, how you going? I'm going to give you an overview how to cut a tenon on the table saw, just like you see in this video. It's a relatively quick and easy way to cut tenons, and it makes them really accurate and repeatable. So you need to set the table saw up for cross-cutting. So you need to release the sliding table. So this pin here, when it's in the raised position here, the table will be locked, and when it's in the lowered position, it will be sliding. So have it in the lowered position. You also need to move the cross-cut fence and lock it in place so that it's near the blade. At the rear of the table saw, you'll find this blade height adjustment wheel. Undo the locking nut here, and then rotate the hand wheel clockwise or anti-clockwise to raise or lower the blade. Set the blade height so it's just below the marker line on the end of your tenon. And because we've made an adjustment on the saw, we need to make a test cut on a piece of scrap. Dial this in using the test cuts until you're happy with the height. Once the blade height's set, we need to set our shoulder depth. So set your rip fence up with a false fence styled piece of timber. And when you take your measurement, measure from the left-hand side of the blade, so the far side of the blade from the end of the tenon. This is really important because if you don't do that, your shoulder will be the blade width further than where you thought you had it. Again, because we've adjusted the machine, you need to do a test cut with some scrap just to make sure your shoulder width is actually accurate. When you go to cut a tenon, slide your timber along till it hits the false fence, remove the false fence out of the way, and then slowly make your first cut. After each cut, slide the workpiece to the left, not the right, or you'll ruin your first shoulder, and space them roughly anything between 5 and 15 mil. Accurate, it doesn't need to be accurate, you just need to make sure that you're clearing a lot of the waste out for the next step in the process. You should be squeezing the workpiece hard up against the crosscut fence to make sure that it doesn't move or rock during the cutting process. You can see here where my hands are placed, they're relatively close to the machine, but they don't move throughout the cut. My hands stay completely stationary and out of any sort of danger. Try and have a smooth fluid motion with the moving of the table, and make sure that you only move the workpiece when it's on the near side of the blade. Here you can see when I'm going to make my first cut, I'll just touch the workpiece to the blade so that I can just double check one last time that my shoulder is indeed going to be in the right place, and then I'll go ahead and make all of my cuts. As you reach the end of the tenon, make sure that you cut a toe right in the end. It just gives you somewhere to reference your hammer and chisel later, and it could cause problems if you don't cut that. So when you finish, you should end up with something that looks roughly like this, ready for the next step of the process.